My dear friends, welcome to today's class, which is part 2 of the world of formation. The world of formation is the third of the 7 worlds. It also helps us uncover answers to questions like, do inanimate objects like rocks possess an energetic life that we don't comprehend? How does that life impact us and our health? Why is Feng Shui important to our work and home environment? How does physical, mental, and emotional healing actually work? How do GMO foods, genetically modified foods, impact our body and its consciousness? So today, through the world of formation, we are going to explore answers to these questions. So for the next little while, let's go on this intriguing journey together. I'd like to welcome you all here today. So nice to see so many of you. Let's refresh our memories on the 7 worlds. Now, we have the 7 worlds, and the core of the 7 worlds is the world of light. And from there, we are connected to the 6 worlds. We have covered the world of water, which is our material world, where life flows on the basis of water. We did cover the class on the world of fire and the beings who are created from fire without smoke, or as the scriptures call it, a scorching wind. So while we are creations of a fluid water, they are creations of a fluid of gas form. And we are now in the world of formation, which is where all forms that manifest, whether they are in our world or any of the 7 worlds or any of the universes, all forms manifest or are created here in the world of formation. And as we learned last week, it is one that has the greatest direct impact to our material world as we know it. Then there's the world of thought, which when we get to it is going to be quite a fascinating class. It might take us 2 classes to go through it. But suffice to say that we can exist in the world of thought at the same time as we are in the world of water. And this world of thought is where all the experiences that have been gained in these 2 experiential worlds, this is where they live, because thought has life. Thought is permanent. And also how, even when we get to the level of inspired thought, we are also engaging with this world. So this is going to be one of the next worlds after we finish formation. Then there is the world of eternal, which is where once we finish our journey in any of these worlds, there is a period spent in the world of the eternal, where everything comes together for us before we move forward. And it's a very, very peaceful state of being. And then there is the world of assimilation, which is the closest to the world of light, because all the knowledge that has been acquired in all the worlds is assimilated and knowledge becomes light. And this is where the soul chooses its next manifestation or world that it wants to take birth in. This is where the karmic compass is set. And of course, the world of light is our final goal that we all seek to reach. But while we are alive, in any of these worlds, we're always connected with the world of light and the world of thought. So with that, we can move to today's session, which is just to quickly recap, what is the world of formation? So the world of formation is where all forms get created, wherever they are to manifest. So every form that exists, be it rocks, mountains, animals, trees, plants, birds, marine life, in our world, all these forms are created here. And every form in the world of fire is also created here. So the jinns and their physical forms and their complex world, because they are created from a gaseous basis, all those forms that they will see also are created here. And every form in the universes, including those that exist in more than our 3-dimensional world, are created here. Every meteor in space, every particle ever created receives its form in the world of formation. So you can think of this world of formation as being the source of all forms. forms that we know as well as forms that we don't. And the world of formation, therefore, as we said last time, is the center of all creativity. And this world is accessed by all the seven worlds and the universes. Now, we can classify the forms in two categories: animate forms and inanimate forms. And last class, we talked at some length about these forms, so I'm not going to repeat that. But we also learned about the universal or God consciousness, and then we learned about nature, which is the existential consciousness. So we learned about two consciousnesses last week. Now let me refresh your memory with these two diagrams. So here we have the universal or God consciousness, which is the basis of all creation. Then we talked about animated forms, which is we included forms which typically should be all forms that move, but we included trees and other forms that are water-based, organic, life-based, but they do not move. So all this, we call them animate forms: people, animals, birds, plants. But all animate forms are connected to the universal or God consciousness through the soul linkage. And also, the existential consciousness of nature is also present within that soul linkage. So that's animate forms. And we spent a fair bit of time last week on them. Then you've got the inanimate forms, which is your rocks, your mountains, your human-made devices, buildings, towers, everything, metals, materials. These are also connected to the God consciousness through the existential consciousness linkage. So this is the consciousness of nature. So today we are going to be spending more time on this one. The next diagram is the one where we looked at the three levels of consciousness from the perspective of the ocean bed. And I explained that the ocean bed, for example, which is completely still, can be thought of metaphorically as the universal or God consciousness. And then the ocean itself, the body of water, is the existential consciousness, which has got the animate and inanimate, or the consciousness of nature. So God consciousness, consciousness of nature, and then we come to the surface, which is the material identity. This is where the material consciousness resides. This is the consciousness we all live with in our material world. So today we're going to talk a bit more about this consciousness, because this is what differentiates all of us. Below this consciousness, we are all one. But when we reach here, this is where we all are different. So what is the material consciousness? So the material consciousness is the lowest level of consciousness. The God consciousness and consciousness of nature are the highest level. Material is the lowest. And this consciousness is comprised of our human thoughts from the lower and higher level minds. Remember, we talked about the lower level mind, high level mind, and intellect. So from the lower and higher level minds, all the thoughts that we create forms this material consciousness, both of a positive and negative nature. And since thought has life, the material consciousness plants seeds of these thoughts into our minds, which then germinate and shape how we feel, what we do, and how we conduct ourselves in our material world. That's governed by our material consciousness. And I've often said that we are all defined by the quality of our thought. If we emit higher quality of thoughts, our behavior is governed accordingly, and we will be known and remembered accordingly. People's reactions to us will also be governed by the quality of our thoughts. If we are good towards people, respectful, kind, we will receive the same in return. The opposite is true for negative and low quality thoughts, which adversely affect the people around us and their reactions towards us. So we mirror what we put out. We put out positive, we mirror positive. We put out negative, we mirror negative. This is in the material consciousness. This is our created consciousness. And our thoughts, low and high quality, are absorbed within this material consciousness and carried far and wide, influencing the rest of humanity as well as our water and the environment. Now, negative thoughts and fear, for example, create a negative consciousness, material consciousness, which impacts everyone. You've all heard the term mass consciousness. Well, it is in fact material consciousness of the masses, of everybody. When we turn on the TV or social media, we are bombarded by news and events which create a toxic, negative mass consciousness in our world today, filled with fear, worry, lies, accusations, conflict, and so much more. So today, our mass consciousness is negative. This is what I call thought pollution, because our negative thoughts are toxic. And just like chemical toxins, which we release to our environment, same type of pollution we create through our negative thought. So a negative mass consciousness is toxic. And thought pollution is the worst form of pollution there is. Our real problem today is not environmental pollution only, it's thought pollution. Because it impacts our water adversely. Now remember, everything in our world is based on water. Our bodies are 85 to 90% water. And negative thought impacts our water in our body directly. I've shared with you the works of Masaru Emoto before, the Japanese scientist, who took different messages, placed it in water, and then photographed the crystals around different thoughts. He put different messages. So he played Mozart's symphony, he played John Lennon's Imagine, he put the message of love, and then he put peace, thank you, I will kill you, which is very negative. And then he also had the consciousness of water photographed before prayer and after prayer. Remember these two because these are significant, because this, you can also think of this as before your healing meditation, and this is the quality of your blood after your healing meditation. So he placed these different thoughts and then lowered the temperature of water to, I think, minus 12 or so degrees, and then photographed the crystalline nature of water. So positivity gives you perfect crystals, and negativity gives you chaos or no crystals. And again, when we go look at healing today, I would say that after your healing meditation, the crystalline structure of your blood and all your organs and tissues is like this, which is very, very positive. When we think of our body being 85% water and how thought pollution can adversely affect our bodies, this can unleash all kinds of diseases. And we already see a lot of it around us spiraling up every day. Now, the material consciousness, which is the lowest level of consciousness, is where our negative human traits come from. It is also where the dark side of human nature resides. And many of us overcome this darkness through light, prayer, and ethical living, while others succumb to it, and they become its slave, opening them to becoming cruel, merciless, oppressive, destructive, exploitive, selfish, and lots more. Now, you all know about the dark side of human nature, and these are all hallmarks of the material consciousness. However, the other two levels of consciousness, which is the God or universal consciousness and the consciousness of nature or the existential consciousness, these two are absolutely pure and still. And they are present in our material world alongside the material consciousness. They confer upon us our higher human character, such as purity, positivity, nurturing, mercy, peace and harmony, caring, loving, and lots more. Now, these beautiful aspects, which are aspects of our one soul that shines through each one of us as we navigate our lives through this material consciousness. Remember the example of the cyclone? The cyclone's whirling, and the chaotic outer part of the cyclone is the material consciousness. You have to think of it that way. And the still inner core of the cyclone, where everything is completely still, is the God consciousness and the consciousness of nature. Now, all these are present with us all the time because we can live within the core of the cyclone where the true power resides, or we can live only on the outside and bounce around life like an accidental object. So, this is where we begin to understand that which of these levels of consciousness do we choose to live within? Do we choose to live within the core only, or within the core and the surrounding, or just the surrounding? This is our choice. What do we choose to be guided by? And this is the reason why we are all guided to pray every day, be it 1, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times a day. Because during prayer, we shift out of the material consciousness and go to our pure and illuminated dimension. So that's what prayer does for us. It shifts us to a higher level of consciousness. And then meditation takes us a step beyond prayer towards enlightenment, on a journey that ascends from light upon light, according to the parable of light, which we have shared many times. So, when our spiritual teachers and scriptures advise us to balance our lives with spirituality and material experience, this is what they mean. Do not live entirely in the material zone only, otherwise, the dark side of human nature will dominate. If you balance between the two, you will live an enlightened life and you will have both the experiences. Now, our dear friend Angel Cyrus says, use your enlightened nature to illuminate your material nature. I'll repeat that because it's a very nice phrase. Use your enlightened nature to illuminate your material nature, because now you can see that you have both. Use them. And he continues, for then you can live a life of peace, happiness, and great accomplishment in your material and spiritual endeavors. So now that we understand the 3 levels of consciousness, we can also appreciate why there is no such thing as a bad person. Because each one of us embodies the 2 purest consciousnesses, the God consciousness and the consciousness of nature. Even the worst of criminals have these consciousnesses. However, they are so immersed in the material consciousness that their mind and actions are completely ruled by it. Hence, they have no problem inflicting cruelty, exploiting people, treading over the poor, committing rape, pilfering, doing all kinds of harsh things that we see in our world today. Remember, the material consciousness is the creation of our minds, our thoughts. It's our creation. We take responsibility for it. And hence, we can't blame our Creator for the consciousness we have created and choose to succumb to completely. We have created a monster because of our negative mass consciousness. So we can't cry foul when it bites us. So now that we've understood the 3 levels of consciousness, now let's move to the next part of the class on the world of formation. It gets more interesting. So last class we covered the animate forms in detail. Today let's look at the inanimate forms. So let's go back to that diagram which shows the consciousness of the animate and inanimate. Again, I just want to refresh your memory. So we're talking about the universal or God consciousness as the basis from where all consciousness flows, and we're going to look at the inanimate forms. So this is the connection that every inanimate form has with the God consciousness, and it is the existential consciousness linkage. And this is how everything is connected to nature. Now let's look at these inanimate forms. Are they really inanimate? When we recognize that every inanimate form, such as rocks, crystals, human-made structures, mountains, has an existential consciousness, this makes them all alive in inverted commas. The presence of a consciousness makes something alive. Did you know that science has proven that electrons and atoms actually move in and everything? Here, take a look at this. So for the first time ever, scientists watch an atom's electrons moving in real time. This was a very high profile study, and I'm not going to talk about science, but I want to demonstrate something to you. And this was done by the Max Planck Institute of Quantum Optics of Germany, US Department of Energy's Berkeley School, and University of California. And they actually, this is krypton. So this is, according to our definition, inanimate. Krypton has 36 electrons. These are the 36 electrons. And then they have taken a close-up of each electron. And they were able to show that all these electrons were constantly moving. So in an inanimate object, they also move. There is life. So just because we don't see inanimate objects move, deep in their structure, there is life. That is the existential consciousness. And at an atomic or subatomic level, they are not inanimate. There is motion, there is electrical charges, there is so much more. And those of you interested in quantum science can have a great time researching all this. But for the purpose of this class, it is important for us to upgrade our perceptions of inanimate objects. We have to start seeing all forms in our world as living. Those that move about and those that don't, because they are all living and moving. Some are at a visible level to us, and some are invisible, like we just saw at a subatomic level. Krypton, electrons move. In rocks, your electrons, given the particular conditions, will move. So how can they not have life or consciousness? So even scientific evidence is pointing to that fact, that this consciousness exists in everything. And this is all to do with the world of formation. Now, next, all inanimate and animate forms are also influenced by the material consciousness. This is very important. So let us take a step to further understand consciousness of animate and inanimate forms in our world. How do we influence them negatively, for example, or positively? When I gave you the diagram of the ocean, it showed the three levels of consciousness. The bottom was the God level consciousness, the water was the existential, and at the top you had the waves, the material consciousness. Now this is where, at the top, the whole concept of vibration comes. And many of you have heard spiritual thinkers talk about vibration. What do they mean? I mean, this concept of vibration I've heard since I was little. And people would talk about it, and then, I would often wonder, what is this vibration? Because it's not like a sound. But today, we're going to try and understand what it is. Because now we are in the right place in the world of formation to be able to appreciate it. So let's look at vibrations from a very simple perspective. So here is a very simple diagram of vibrations. So you've got, for example, here you've got 5 waves, big ones. So we're going to call it vibration level 5, just for argument's sake. Then, as we get more waves, like 10 waves, for example, our vibration level goes up to 10. Then here our vibration level goes up to 20, 30. So as we go down this chain, and as more and more vibrations, as our vibration levels go higher and higher, they reach an infinite level, which is pure stillness. This is the highest level of vibration. So when in our meditation we go into stillness, we go to the highest level of vibration. So here is where we are living, in chaos, on the outer side of the cyclone. But as we meditate, as we think positively, as we go towards stillness, we reach here, which is the absolutely right level of vibration for us all to be at our highest level. Negative consciousness is around these levels. But as we go towards stillness and positivity, our vibration gets higher and higher and higher, and we go to positive consciousness. So this is a very simple diagram for you to kind of visualize what I'm saying about vibrations. There are vibrations, there are different types of vibrations. In simple language, vibrations get higher and higher as we approach stillness, which is the goal of meditation, as well as the goal of every soul in terms of its superconsciousness, which is pure stillness, knowledge, and light. At these levels, the vibrations are the highest. And our goal in daily living must be to maintain a very high level of vibration in our being through positivity, stillness, anchor thought, and more. And I've shared these techniques with you, and you can also listen to them on my YouTube channel and refresh yourselves. Now, conversely, negative thoughts have very low vibrations. And here is an example of negative thoughts. So, this is negative vibrations. So, look here, cruelty. There's only one big wave. That's cruelty. Hatred, one, two waves only. Big amplitude, very big amplitude. Then we come to fear, which is just one more wave, but very close to hatred. And then you come to envy, which is another level. But these are all negative. And remember, negativity has the lowest level of vibration. This is a vibration level 1. This is a vibration level 2. So that's where we are when we live in negative consciousness. These are like the waves that come to the shore that are so big that people surf on. Okay? So they may be the proudest of waves, but yet they are so proud that people surf right on them and they just let it happen. When we deal with people, we see good and bad, but we are only seeing their material identity and feeling their vibrations, which is driven by their mind and actions. As the quality of their thoughts go higher, so does their vibration, as does their quality as human beings. Hence, since first learning about Emoto's work and having done a lot of scientific work with water myself, I always contemplated the question, why does water produce such shapes based on thought in Emoto's work? Why is it that when you put negative vibration, you get almost no crystal structure, and then when you put something that's positive, which is high vibration, you get perfect crystals? And this is the answer I got. That low level negative vibrations cannot shape anything. There are very few waves, as we saw in the diagram. Cruelty has only one wave. Hatred is only two waves. Imagine you have an old dot matrix printer. If we cast our minds back to the 80s, and we all had these printers which went dot, 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 dot. I'm sure you all remember them. So imagine you have an old dot matrix printer, and each dot it produces is equal to one wave. So think about it. Cruelty has only one dot. Hatred is only two dots. Together they have a meager three dots. If all the printer can print is three dots, would your print make any sense? No. And that's what Emoto found when he pictured negative thought patterns in water. There just wasn't enough power in that negative consciousness to form a crystal. This was the answer that came to me through my contemplation. So now if you take your dot matrix printer, and it could produce millions of dots, which come from very high level positive vibrations like love, prayer, or gratitude. You saw those images. Then you can see the perfect printout. So when you see the perfect printout, and Masaru Emoto discovered that in his crystalline structures, it is because the higher level of vibrations gives that dot matrix printer infinite number of dots. So the picture comes with complete clarity. And so the beautiful part of creation in our world is that if you dig deep enough, there is usually an answer to be discovered, just as you just have to contemplate patiently. And I contemplated this question for quite a while until the whole connection between low-level vibration, high-level vibration, dot matrix printer, and water all came together, and they all make sense. And so we can now appreciate that rocks, crystals, man-made structures, and every form of creation, animate and inanimate, have their own vibrations. And vibration levels have a real impact on both these type of forms. So now let us look at how healing works based on this understanding. Animate forms like plants, trees, or humans, which derive life through water, for example, are directly impacted by the state of their water. And as we looked at Emoto's pictures and also decoded why it happens through vibration levels. Therefore, animate forms can become sick, shrivel, and even die, depending on how badly the condition of their water is impacted. A lot of our illnesses today come from the quality of water in our bodies. Remember, 85 to 90% of our body is water. Therefore, if we harbor strong negative emotions like anger, hatred, envy, our blood takes on a chaotic form. These emotions have very low vibrations, which leave the water in our body in a state of chaos. Many illnesses can arise from this poor quality of our blood, which comes from our negative emotions. And our body is highly intelligent. So, what does it do? It tries to get rid of these negative emotional energy by directing them to different parts of the body where they can be cleansed out. So, for example, you may have found, you may have found sometimes when you are very tense and you put your hand on your abdomen is pulsating. Now, this is the field of cleansing, which is between your solar plexus and lower down. So, what happens is these negative emotions in some people end up going to that field of cleansing with the body hoping that it will get rid of it there. But because it causes so much pulsating of the intestines, you get sometimes symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. In chronic cases, people suffer from a lot of pain. Infections come in, then you get colitis. But the genesis of these, I'm not saying is only emotion, but one of them is the body trying to get rid of negative emotions. Sometimes the body will take your negative emotions upwards, hoping that it can dissipate it from this field, which is your light field above. So it's looking for outlets. And there you get blocked, you can suffer migraines. When you're tense, you will find a little while later headaches start. And if you trace what you did a few hours before the headache, you will find that maybe you were emotionally very tense. So your body tries to get rid of these, but they get blocked. And then you start seeing all these symptoms. So it's all to do with the level of vibration of your emotions. Now, if we are positive and harmonious, then our blood forms beautiful crystalline structures of high vibrations of our thoughts and emotions, hence, we are healthier. So, people who meditate at the deepest levels actually heal themselves and get younger. And the sacred spiritual literature talks about when you go into that state of pure focus, nothingness, zero thought, and focus on the name of your source, you reach a point where your body secretes a wax like substance, which is very powerful in healing. Your body starts to correct itself because your body, your soul needs your body at this stage in the journey to be completely healthy so that it can continue in its journey and excel because it is now moving forward in that pure space of stillness and light. So you secrete that wax, your body heals. You even become younger. And I know, like I've seen it work for me when, I took a look at my pictures from 10 years ago, I look a lot older than today. And it's not that I do anything unique, but meditation. And from 1 hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, and sometimes four now. But the longer I meditate, the more focus I derive. I find actually that the body is reversing its aging patterns. Even your mind begins to rejuvenate. Everything starts to improve. So, this is the power of meditation, and it comes back to going to those extremely high levels of vibration. At that level, healing happens. Now, a young lady I know very well was telling me that she and her fiance bought a bamboo plant for their apartment. And when they bought this plant, they decided it would be their plant of harmony, the loving, happy harmony in their relationship. And the plant had 4 perfect bamboo shoots, and it thrived for several years. Then the relationship ran into trouble, and even the bamboo began to shrivel, even though they watered it and cared for it the same way as before. And when they finally decided to break up and get divorced, what happened? The bamboo plant died. So their thoughts, their emotions, the water in them, their consciousness, the bamboo was living the same consciousness with them. When their harmony ended, when their relationship died, so did the bamboo. So, you know, over the years, we have worked extensively globally on holding healing meditations, and with the Creator's grace, many thousands of people have benefited from them. Some have recovered in manners that doctors call miraculous. Some of you are present here today who have been on this journey with us. But it is no miracle, because the powers that create us can heal us. When you meditate and you seek to invoke that blessing of healing, everything becomes possible. It's not miraculous. And the healing meditation takes us to that deep state of focus and stillness. It raises the level of the vibration of the person meditating immensely. Then, as we focus on healing of the illness, that power of thought and its vibration activates the process of natural healing in the body. And each one of us has this capacity. Most of us just haven't used it. And this high level healing vibration empowers the water in our blood. It goes into self correcting mode, and this is how healing progresses. Now, during the healing meditation which we do, each person also has pure natural spring water with them. And this picks up the same high level vibrations from the meditation and is present in this water. And I'm sure if we pictured it, we will see it too. So this then becomes, this water then continues to nourish the body with these vibrations every day. So this water is an important healing tool too. And when we have had people use the water which they made themselves with their own vibrations, when they've gotten well, we say, return this water back to nature, either to the ocean or to the ground, but don't put it down the drain, because you have created this water with that blessed level of vibration. So return it to nature. And so you can now understand how healing works through meditation. We rise well above the material consciousness, leaving behind its negative imprints. And we reach a state blessed by the Creator, where the body's self-correcting mechanism engages itself in a very powerful manner. Then, with correct nutrition, drinking good quality spring water, and regular meditation, recovery has the best chance of progressing. Now, mental and emotional healing also follow the same principles as physical healing. All this healing involves raising your vibration to the level of pure stillness and light. And while healing of the body impacts the tissue and its water, the mind and emotions are further impacted by raising their consciousness level and their vibrations to a level that infuses an immense amount of positivity and light, and thus healing of the emotion and the mind. And all these higher level vibrations alter the state of negative emotions and thoughts, just like light alters the state of darkness. Depression, for example, brings heavy clouds of darkness upon us. And an increase in our vibration dispels this darkness, because at maximum vibration, we go to a state of light, pure light. That's how we heal from depression, for example. And this whole process of physical, mental, and emotional healing goes in parallel with whatever medical treatment one may be having. So it is complementary to medical science. Let your doctor help you as best as he or she can, but then you help yourself too in parallel with your spiritual strength. And now you can understand how it works. And apart from meditation, there are other ways people have programmed water to get successful results. I remember in the 90s, I met a Swiss scientist. And I visited his laboratory, which was at his house in a beautiful, beautiful place in the Alps. And, we both sort of connected at a spiritual level. We spoke the same language. And he explained to me that he had created devices which could energize water with specific healing codes. We managed to do that in our meditation. We don't need any of these devices. But for those who can't, he actually used to program water with a field, which he called the K field. And with that, they put the water in these small vials, and he even began to distribute it. And, it worked. Now, this consciousness of water, which was programmed for the healing purpose, was a gift he was given. But unfortunately, the people he was surrounded with got very greedy and commercial. And unfortunately, one day the man just didn't wake up, and the science he had disappeared. It could have done so much good in the world. But I used that water as well myself once, and it did clear my eczema. So he had actually understood how to code water. And if you get to know water well enough, you can understand why it worked. And I believe, from my perspective, that meditation is the best way to code the water exactly in accordance with your own thinking, your own faith, your own beliefs, and the water in your own blood. But it can also be done through science. So now, let us look at inanimate forms. Now that we have seen what water does, we can assume that with inanimate forms, the same impact of consciousness applies. Inanimate forms don't have water, but they do have consciousness, the existential consciousness, which is pure and neutral. Now let's take crystals, for example. And I've written a great deal about crystals and the science of crystals in my book on the Alakansera civilization, because they had perfected the science of crystals to a level where they could engineer crystals to the highest level of engineering. And with that, they could build structures like pyramids. They could move big boulders around. They created advanced communications through crystal science and through making engineered crystals. And crystals have been used in healing in so many cultures globally. Why is that so? It is because crystals, like water, have a highly responsive consciousness. They pick up our thoughts, and healers usually program their crystals in a meditative state and then use them to help the patient as needed. So it's all about the consciousness in all animate and inanimate forms. You can use this consciousness positively or negatively. People who seek to do harm and hurt others sometimes alter the consciousness of objects with pure negativity and then place them in the space where the damage is to be done. And in many African and Indian cultures, this is widely known. Of course, such negatively programmed objects can be quickly neutralized by our state of being through our higher vibrations of prayer, meditation, and light, and our positive thoughts and energies. So they can be cleansed and neutralized, so they're not something to be feared. But people have also worked with negatively charging consciousness in inanimate objects. And there's so much information on that out there. But suffice to say that you want to get rid of darkness with a single ray of light, and you all know how to bring that light. So we can now begin to understand the basis of some of these ancient practices as well. So let's develop our understanding one step further on inanimate objects. And let's go to Las Vegas, where angels Cyrus and Luminous are both visiting Las Vegas. And they walk into a pawn shop near the MGM casino. And they see Tom and Sarah, a young couple who's planning to get married, and they are in a pawn shop looking for bargains for their rings. So Sarah is so taken in by a diamond ring that she says to Tom, "That's it. I've always dreamt of having a 1-carat diamond solitaire." It's absolutely beautiful. And Tom could see that she was so in love with it that, he was happy to get it for her. And Cyrus and Luminous join the couple as they marvel at this diamond ring. And the pawn shop owner says that they could have it at a fire sale price because he's clearing inventory. But before Tom could say yes, Cyrus looks at the couple and says, "There is no way I would wear this ring or take it home." And the couple were perplexed and they said, "What do you mean?" Cyrus said, "This ring belongs to a lady by the name of Marion, who was 50 years old and was widowed last year. She is battling breast cancer and is a daughter who got accepted at Columbia University. And Marion promised to support her daughter financially through her education. Now, Marion ended up visiting the casino with friends who insisted she needed a change in scenery, and they meant well. But knowing very little about the dangers of gambling, she got carried away. And with her small wins, she began to bet bigger and bigger and bigger. And she thought she could walk away with ample money for her daughter as well, if all went well. Well, it didn't go so well. And Marion ended up losing her precious ring, which was the most powerful symbol of love in her life. She dearly loved her husband, and losing that ring left her heartbroken that she had to part with it. And she was so deeply ashamed of herself at losing this precious symbol of her life and also jeopardizing her daughter's education that she jumped off the balcony. And she lies paralyzed in hospital today. And her energy and her broken heart and shame resides in this ring. You really don't want to start your lives with something that was lost with so much pain, even if it's given to you for free. You will never be happy in your marriage, we assure you, these two angels said. The pawn shop owner was very disappointed with the loss of the sale, but he too knew Marion's story because he had bought the ring from her at a throwaway price. So he asked them, "How do you guys know Marion so well? Is she family?" And they looked at Cyrus and Luminous looked at the storekeeper and go, "Yes, she's one of us. And so are Tom and Sarah here. We are all one family, hence we are here to protect them." And a moment later, Cyrus and Luminous were gone, just disappeared in thin air. And Tom and Sarah didn't even have a chance to thank them. So, my dear friends, in our homes and our environment, everything has consciousness. And this is why it is so important to create the most positive and enlightened space for living and working, for example. The concept of Feng Shui is actually born from the consciousness of everything in one's environment and its vibrations. Specialists in Feng Shui will carefully locate everything in your space in a manner that maximizes their vibration, from their exposure to sunlight, their direction on the compass, which is tied to the Earth's electromagnetic field, and more. They even look at the energies that come from the groundwater underground, and they'll move your beds and furniture around to minimize exposure to negativity. So Feng Shui is not mumbo jumbo. It's the art of working with vibrations and consciousness, always seeking maximum harmony with the inhabitants of an environment. So even when we look at our food, for example, we have to ask ourselves, what is the consciousness of my food? Will it nourish me? Many times over the years, Karima and I have been to restaurants where I'll refuse to eat the food because I sensed that the chef was angry. We would either send the food back or just get up and leave. And I could feel the vibrations of the chef, him or her. And of course, I wasn't going to take that into my body. And we often got weird looks as we got up and left. But that's how it is. This is why when you cook for your family or friends, pray while you do so. Put your love for them in your food, and they will love every bite of it. It will nourish them fully, body, mind, and soul, because food has consciousness. And Cyrus was telling me that one time he was visiting a beautiful castle in which lived a saint, a deeply spiritual man. He was a man of God. And the saint took Cyrus on a tour of the gardens of the castle. And they walked for at least an hour. And the saint poured out words of light and wisdom which completely mesmerized Cyrus. He likes that kind of stuff. Then, when it came time for lunch, there were several tables laid out in the garden lawn. And he told me that this food was offerings from his disciples. The saint told Cyrus that this is from my disciples, these are offerings. But the saint went over to the simplest table where there were just basic dishes, like 2 slices of bread and butter and jam in one paper plate, or 4 naans with a bit of sugar in another paper plate. Very basic stuff. And he said to Cyrus, "This food is for us, so please join me." So Cyrus, who loves food, looked at all the other tables which had roast lamb legs and rich dishes laid out like banquet for a king. And he said, the saint read my facial expressions as I thought, what about all that good stuff? What are we doing here at this table with naans and sugar? And of course, Cyrus has good taste. And the saint smiled and said, the food at our table is the best of all. It is filled with love and prayers that far exceed any banquet. And Cyrus says, and how right the saint was. He ate with such pride and love. And Cyrus said, when I tasted the bread, even the best pastry chef in the world could not have matched it. It was that fantastic. That was the power of the consciousness of the food. With love and prayers, its vibration was unbelievable. Cyrus says, I could hear the prayers of the one who made this food. I could even feel the presence of our Creator as we dined. He too was dining with us. So even though there were 2 slices of bread with butter and jam, because that is all that person could afford, it made it to the highest table because of the prayer, consciousness, love, and vibration that was present. So what a moving example from Cyrus. Profound wisdom, filled with life lessons for us all to consider and implement. And this brings me to the question of the quality of our foods. Apart from the spiritual and energetic aspects, how do GMO foods feature here? GMO being genetically modified foods. How do they feature here? Nature creates our foods through thousands of years of evolution as fine blends of energy and consciousnesses. And this it has perfected over time. So nature has perfected the consciousness and energy of our food and its balance. These natural foods nourish us. And they do so best when the soil has natural fertilizer and nutrients, because their consciousness of the fertilizer and nutrients are also interwoven like a perfect orchestra. Then human beings come along and we genetically engineer the foods for high yields, beautiful appearances on supermarket shelves with super long shelf lives. This food never goes bad. But if naturally food does not perish or rot, how will it break up in your digestive system? Think about it. The most healthy foods, the most healthy fruits will rot in a day. But you get something and you go, wow, this is fantastic. It kept for 2 weeks. That's what it's going to do in your stomach. It's going to stay. And these genetically engineered foods completely miss out on the vibrational level and intricacies of consciousness that nature has placed in us. Hence, we don't benefit from GMO foods as we do from non-genetically altered natural foods. Some of these altered foods can potentially make us ill over a period of time. It is something to consider when making choices of what food we take in, because the quality of our health is governed by that, the quality of our food and water and the consciousness of both. Now, the GMO industry also has some very greedy players because it's a huge money-making proposition, but that's another subject. But still, when I think of the consciousness of my food, I don't think I want to take any risks. I would stick to natural, organic, and safely produced food by caring farmers. That would be my choice. And in terms of food and its consciousness, I'm sure you have all heard about how people with major illnesses like cancer get healed when they go back to the place they grew up. Because the soil, the minerals, the water, the food, and the atmosphere that nurtured them in their formative stages when they were little contain what I call a baseline. Like a white canvas is the baseline of a painting. The consciousness of this baseline, where they grew up, lives forever. And once the patient goes back to it, his or her vibrational state is restored and the body begins to heal. It's a powerful process. So, like Cyrus says, out in the universe or in many corners of the world, there are rocks of the same consciousness and vibration as you. You exist with them. Your mind just doesn't comprehend this. But if you go, for example, like I said, go back to where you grew up and you enter that consciousness, that's also buried deep down in your consciousness. When you go there, your consciousness, which is damaged from ill health, gets restored. So, coming to Cyrus's point that there is rocks and meteors and there is particles everywhere that have the same vibration as you. Meteors carry vibrations, and when they land on Earth, for example, they trigger change. Like the Holy Kaaba in Mecca is a meteor by origin. Look at how powerful it is enabled that spiritual vibration that draws millions to it. And those who have been there and felt the energy will tell you it's absolutely amazing. Now, it's not the meteor, but it's the vibration level, and it's a blessing. And you add the vibrations of the meteor to the energy of thought and prayers of the millions who come to worship, you have an absolutely unique world of its own. And that's what makes the Holy Kaaba a spiritual magnet. Now, historically, in Arabia, idol worshippers used to trade there, and they had little temples. But why did people come there and not anywhere else? The reality is there was something that attracted everyone there. It was the vibrations. And today it is amongst the world's very holy places. And there are many other sacred places in the world, filled with the most powerful vibrations. Such places are held sacred by people of different religions, cultures, and schools of thought. The bottom line is that the consciousness and vibration levels that are present in these places are very, very close to pure stillness. And pure stillness is the gateway to the divine, is the gateway to light. And you've all learned about stillness together in our classes up to now, and we kind of built on that in our meditation in many, many, many steps. Now, in our next class, we will explore consciousness further from a practical perspective. And then next class, we will focus on meditation techniques that we can practice to cleanse our environment and homes, to raise the vibrations and consciousness in our homes, as well as to advance ourselves and our own conscious levels of vibrations through life. And meditation has numerous practical benefits which we can all apply to our day-to-day material life. We will explore these too. Because remember, meditation engages consciousness. So the possibilities are endless. And next week, we're going to focus the entire class on meditation. So with that, we come to a conclusion of what I wanted to share with you on the concept of vibration and consciousness. I know you had to look at a few diagrams, but I was trying my best to present it in as simple a way as possible. So now let's go into our meditation. I'd like you to sit back, be completely relaxed, close your eyes, and breathe freely. Be at complete peace. Breathe freely. Let go of all your stresses, emotions. Let your being become light, very light, completely light. Be at complete peace. Breathe freely. And I'd like you to imagine you're standing in front of this beautiful crystal clear lake of water. And around you in the distance, you can see mountains that are covered with snow. It's morning time, the sky is blue, there's green grass, trees, birds, flowers, beautiful, vibrant nature. Take a moment and look at the nature. It's pure peace and pure beauty. And then you decide to walk into the lake. And so you take a few steps in the water until the water reaches your knee height. And when you look at the water, it's so pure and clear, you can see the bottom. But the water also has a few little ripples and waves. And you want the water to go completely still so you can see your reflection in it. And so you look at the water and you repeat, stillness, stillness, stillness. And as you look at the water, make it go completely still. Stillness. Stillness. You look at the water and it is now completely still. You can see your reflection of your face in the water as if it were a mirror. You can see the reflection of the blue sky and the sun in the water. And when you look up and see the rest of the lake, it is completely still. Completely still. You are complete stillness. 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 And then you repeat the words silence. 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 As you go completely silent, and all the nature around you is completely silent, in pure stillness. Silence. 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 And then in front of you, you see 3 lotus flowers floating on the water. And the first one is white in color, and it represents your world. It represents your world, your family, your loved ones, your life, all your aspirations, everything in this world, your material world. And you look at this white flower and you repeat, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude for the blessing of your world, gratitude, gratitude. And then you look at the next lotus flower, the yellow one, which represents your future. And you repeat gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Gratitude for the blessing of a future filled with your hopes and aspirations. Gratitude, gratitude. And then you look at the third lotus flower, which is pinkish red. And this represents your past, your memories, your experiences, everything that has made you who you are today. As you look at the past and you repeat gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And now it's time to leave the world, the future, and the past as you walk further into the water, repeating the words detach, detach, detach. And you keep walking until when you look back, you don't see those flowers anymore. You are completely detached from the world, the past, and the future. You are in the pure present, pure present, pure present. And you walked far enough in the lake where the water is above your waist. And when you look in front of you, you see these beautiful candles floating in the water in little dishes, little cups. Each candle has a beautiful flame, and you are surrounded by these floating candles. It's very, very beautiful. Makes you feel very peaceful. And then the candle flames all begin to come together. And all the candles merge into one beautiful, bright, warm, loving light that surrounds you completely and that flows through you. And this is the light of oneness. This is the consciousness of nature. This is the light of oneness that makes you one with your Creator and one with all of nature and all of creation. And in the presence of this light, you repeat oneness, oneness, oneness. Keep repeating this word. Oneness. As the light of oneness, the light of nature flows through you, connecting you with all creation, connecting you with your source. Oneness, oneness. And then in the light, you see the hand of a loving parent. And you, the child, place your hand with full trust in the hand of your loving parent. And this loving parent is going to guide you into the God consciousness, into the light. And you surrender your mind, your thoughts, your ego. You surrender everything to this God consciousness as you repeat, surrender, surrender, surrender. And you allow the hand of the loving parent to guide you into the light, into the God consciousness. And in the presence of this light, you repeat your linkage word in slow rhythm. The linkage word is either given to you, which is the name or a dimension of your Creator, or it is the word you have chosen as the name of your source or Creator. I will use the word origin. You will focus on your linkage word, origin, origin, origin. And you repeat your linkage word in slow rhythm for a few moments. Origin, origin. Keep repeating your linkage word for a couple more moments. In the presence of the light, we offer gratitude, 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 deepest gratitude, eternal gratitude for the blessing of being in today's meditation, for all the blessings we all receive every moment of our lives, all the abundance, happiness, all the fulfillment we get from those we love. Gratitude for the blessing of clean water, clean air, clean earth, the environment. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And let this gratitude flow from you to the hearts and minds of all creation, so that together we may all in unison repeat gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Let this word gratitude echo throughout the world and the universes. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And now it's time to return back to the shore. And you turn around and walk back in the lake towards the shore. And on your way, you see the white lotus flower, which is your world. Your past, the red pink flower. Your future, the yellow flower. As you walk past them, you're back in your world. And as you come out of the lake and step on the grass, you're back in your world, filled with oneness, filled with light, filled with gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. You may open your eyes when you wish. I'd like to take this opportunity to offer my deepest gratitude to each one of you for being present today in the meditation, for bringing so much light, love, and peace to us all and to all of creation. And I pray that you may all be blessed with immense happiness, material and spiritual, immense happiness, love, peace, and light in your lives every moment. And I pray that the light of our Creator always be with you, to help you, guide you, protect you, and love you. Stay blessed, and I look forward to seeing you all at next Saturday's Sharing Hope meditation. This is a crucial time our world is going through with these new variants of COVID. And it's a time for us all to get together and invoke the blessing of healing and the blessing of safety and the blessing of overcoming this great challenge that our humanity faces. So please join us. Bring your friends, family, loved ones. The more of us that are here together, the more candlelights you will see in the water, the brighter our light will be, the stronger our call will be for the invocation of healing. So stay blessed and see you, inshallah, in a week's time.